Wicked, 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 wicked. Wicked tones, you know.
I got a comment on YouTube on, I think it was like the last video I put out, which was I don't even remember which one that was, but
It was a back one.
yeah, it was, because I use the term locking down a lot. So I say to lock down on lat or lock down on your mid back, whatever it might be that you lock down on. A lot of the times throughout all lifts, a lot of it is locking down on lats and locking down on like pinching shoulders, like shoulders together, like squeezing your back. I'm just gonna show like what I mean basically on a few different like body part movements, just what I mean by locking down. Because you locking down and setting into a certain position will elicit your body being able to move more freely than if you don't know where to lock down. So most people that, when they think of the term locking down, they think of rigidness. So it's like, I'm gonna grab this, I'm gonna be super rigid and I'm gonna just sit here and I'm locked down. But the ways they're locked down is like literally this whole chain of their arm and their upper back and their shoulder and everything's kind of trapped here. And they're pinning things just here. And you see pulling in, a lot of this like pulling in, like as rigid as I can stay in my arm. They think that the grip, that's why a lot of people's grip fails too, is like that they're squeezing this fucking grip so hard and they're tensing this arm so much that I can't even, like there's nothing happening if I can't move my arm. My arm should be loose, it should be pliable, and my grip should be decently strong, right? Hold enough to hold that weight. So my arm isn't necessarily something that can't move. It's like with me holding this, it's pliable, right? So the way you get to that position where you're not overstressing grip and you're not locking forearms and your grip's not dying in back stuff is that's why I get a lot of people, especially on this, we'll do it on a basic cable pull down too, just to show it. But it's like I stand here and I set into my mid back. So yeah, my lats are flared for anyone who bodybuilds out there and understands like front relaxed pose, where my lats are flared and they're rounded and I'm almost resting on my lat. So I'm creating that positioning here and I'm tucking shoulder down. So I'm here, I'm literally shoving this delt down and keeping chest up. So I'm locked into my lat, therefore there's tension down on my elbow, locked into my lat. So I can literally grab this and hold it here because I'm locked in this position. I just start here, right? So when I do both and I want to lock into mid back, I'm literally doing a mini row, like a mini pull, and I'm setting on lat and I'm pushing my sternum towards the mirror. So from the back, I'm squeezing my mid back together. So I'm pinching basically in here. I'm setting in there so that I can stabilize weight in my mid back and my chest up, and I'm sitting here. So now the tension of being in this position, which is like a quarter of the rep, if not half the rep, I'm locking into my position here so that since I'm locked in my back, now I'm just gonna release my hands forward while keeping my back tense because my chin is back, and I'm gonna drive through and drive my chest up. So whenever I'm releasing, even at this depth, I'm releasing through my hands because my back's still engaged. But the tension is, the negative is quicker because if I hold this here and I try and control too much, I'm gonna end up tensing everything too much. So I wanna squeeze into where I'm holding that tension, I wanna relax, and I wanna squeeze down in again. So I'm snapping hands, driving chest up through, flexing. So my mid back and the middle of my trap is always, if this is them open, I'm always here when I'm pulling. So I'm here when I'm pulling, when I set down here, I'm set in, and when I go to release, I open around and I close back. So my pull starts from my mid back. Yes, my hands are obviously pulling. I can't pull with my mid back. If I could pull with my mid back, it would literally look like this. I would only be able to swing this far. But I'm using my hands to drive through the rest of the way to flex into lat. But I'm still holding that mid back tight, using the chest pad as leverage, and I'm not letting my head do this. The more we don't control our head, and when we put our head down, or even do this, we lose engagement in our posterior chain. So if my chin's not here, even when my hand's going out, so if I'm holding here, even when my hand's going out, my chin, I'm fighting to keep it here. I don't want it to go. So I'm always fighting to have this posture, but I'm leaning my body weight through, and then I'm pulling that chin and head back again. So my head stays level as I'm looking at myself. I never move my head position. I just sway back and forth in order to get shoulders to retract and chest to drive up. So these people who have a hard time, if you learn how to lock down properly, you'll stop having this like head bobbing issue where it's like, and this thing, and a lot of people are doing that because they think they have to get here, like this is a maximum stretch. This is no longer your back. If my head's forward and my arms are up, this is shoulders and arms. And then I'm gonna pull my head back and I'm gonna get back right at the bottom. So it's just become an arm pull. A lot of shit people are doing out there with these massive weights, 2, 3, 4 plates on a machine like this, is fucking leaning back, head position's fucked. It's like if you learn how to engage, you can do half the weight and engage twice as much because you're understanding how my back is. I'm letting the weight out with my hand, my back is grabbing it back. I'm never letting that mid back fully unengaged, so it's like this. It's literally like if I'm hugging this pad and I'm squeezing in here, I'm opening and I'm squeezing. So my chest driving forward is me squeezing, and then I'm relaxing around my back and I'm squeezing, right? So if we understand that on most back movements, you can do that on any back movement that you choose. Let's do a machine we've never done, so it looks even better. So say that we're gonna be here, a lot of this hammer strength machines in a lot of gyms, different variations. I wanna be in a position where like my hip is back, obviously, because if my hip's back and I go to posture up, my back is engaged. That's the whole point of keeping hips behind shoulders, is that as soon as I arch up, or as soon as I drive upward, my back engages, because my hip is behind my shoulder. So that's why this machine is angled with a pad this way. It's not angled with a pad straight up. It's telling you, lean on this angle, create tension back here, don't be in here and pulling this thing back. There's a reason why it's angled, right? Because they're telling you, place your weight on the pad and use it as leverage to pull up through things, right? So even if we lock here, say we'll do inside grip, both hands. When I'm here, I pick up, I'm wrists in a bit, I'm almost gun grip, pointing down like this when I grab, so my knuckle, this top knuckle is always up. So I'm gonna break when I pull and pull that knuckle down into me. So I'm gonna set up tall. So if I'm just gonna be here and I sit up tall, my back's still wide open and I have this like caved in feeling and my head wants to be here because I don't wanna be here, right? So the idea is to almost do a drag pull and set into your mid back and posture neck up. So I'm locked in my mid back now and I can dip forward by leaning on this pad and I can drive chest up through. So my head position never changes. It's my body that moves. So I'm holding mid back, I'm letting hands go, and I'm sliding. So if you hold back and you let out from mid back and you don't do this like overreaching thing, you'll roll back into mid back instantly. Fight the urge to do this. And this like overextension, thinking that again, overextension is stretch. It's not. Overextension, over opening of the mid back when it's locked in creates more stretch because we're controlling muscles and not letting them fully open and then engaging them again, right? So it can be done on any back exercise, whether it's a barbell row, cable, we can do it over here, same shit. Might as well do barbell because everyone wants to do barbell and thinks that fucking barbell is the only way to grow. It's even like in this gym, you see people like still doing this archaic shit of like dumbbell rows are great, don't get me wrong, they're wonderful, but we have some of the most state-of-the-art back equipment in here that literally eliminates the need for them. And you still see people like over there, oh man, fucking dumbbells. It's like, there's millions of dollars worth of equipment in here and you're using the fucking 300-pound dumbbells, the $300 dumbbells. When you lock into back, when you're doing pulls and I set here and I lock into back, same way I would lock here if I was doing pulls. I'm engaging in mid back and lat, and when I set my presses, I'm locked in mid back and lat here. So my press starts here with my sternum up because I'm flexing mid back together and sucking my elbows into lats. So I'm squeezing in and I'm rising up. this is where I'm pressing from. So again, even back, chest, everything engages and locks down in the same place, right? I don't want to lock down on chest because I perceive it to be my chest. Oh, I want to lock out my shoulders and I want to rock up through my shoulders, which we've like gone over a million times, is a fucking awful idea. Unless you're going to do very lightweight and you're going to purposely be open in your elbows and coming around, just trying to like drive development in that like pec insertion area, like where we're trying to get like everything up in the shoulder blade, armpit area. We're trying to open that up and really target it. But even on this type of press, this press puts you in the right spot. That's why I always do this press. That's why people should do a press like this, in the sense that I'm catching here and I'm arched. So if I was to be flared like most people, I'm going to be way out here. My shoulder already hurts, so I'm way out here in my hands, and I'm squeezing my upper back together, and I'm pressing around. And I feel this crazy intense stretch in my shoulders and my armpit, but I feel nothing in my sternum, my pull in my chest, right? So I want to catch in here, and I want to tuck in here, and I want to do that thing where I'm squeezing elbows in and squeezing chest up and locking into lats. So my back is as narrow as it can be right now because I'm squeezing up in here and I have this tension in my palms. So when I go to push, I'm driving through and opening back. So I'm tucking into back, mid-back, squeezing it on the pad. My shoulder blades and my traps are relaxed, and I'm pushing up through. So I squeeze that pad with my mid-back and drive. That's why I can control the tempo of my negative so well, because I'm flexing into my mid-back. My mid-back is literally squeezing and opening around this bench to accommodate the negative, and then I'm squeezing back in. So I'm driving off my mid-back, not my shoulders. So I'm not pinching up here, pressing around. So I'm catching in my lats and my mid-back, and I'm extending out through, not this. There's a massive difference. Here I have no power. I have power, don't get me wrong, but a lot of it's coming from my fucking shoulders and my triceps, and there's very little chest activation because my sternum can't get high enough to create that sink. And people have a problem with depth on presses because they don't understand that pressing is lats. If you don't know where your lats are and you can't squeeze lats and contract them into your body and drive your sternum up, you'll never be able to stabilize weight properly and get depth. And you won't get that lift in your sternum and shove out, right? So what you're gonna do, same way you'd set up on the prime, is like there's still a shit ton of people bench pressing. Obviously it's not fucking going anywhere. The indoctrination is complete, everyone's brainwashed, so we'll just keep doing it. So if I'm gonna do bench, which I don't do anymore, but I did for a long time, and I had a strong bench. Like I had a very strong bench, right? So it's understanding the positioning and locking down for a bench is the same thing in the sense that I wanna get up high and I wanna tuck. So I wanna create this pressure where my back and my traps and my shoulder blades are buried in the bench and I can't literally lift my head. Like to tuck my head is very tough because I already have everything set here. So I'm not gonna be here when I come down, flexing, like a lot of guys take off and they do that. So I wanna be here. This thing's fucking weird. So I wanna set here just like I did over there, and I wanna set here. So I'm on flat palm, my chest is up as high as it can be, and I'm tucked into lats, and I set into my body and drive. So I catch, push. Catch, push. So it's a straight line down, there's no arc. I'm driving up. So I catch in lats here, I can hold lats here, I can squeeze in, keep palm tight, drive. I don't need to struggle at all. I know exactly where my bar is because my back's supporting it and my lats. And I'm rocking off, firing. So it's just different setups for different things, but either way on any press, we're sucked into lats. No press should ever be like this wide, jamming. I shouldn't see my shoulder above my pec line ever. From the side, I shouldn't be hiding my chest. So when I press, this shouldn't happen. It should be this. I should always be able to see my pec. My shoulder should always be tucked underneath, even if it's a higher angle, right? I always want to be falling away from my presses. I don't want to be overpowering my presses. So if I do this the wrong way, which I don't want to do at all, I'll fuck my shoulder up, right? So if I take off here and I take this bar off, pretend I take this off and I set it here like most guys, because most guys are gonna take this bar off, they're not gonna bench, they're not gonna arch, they're gonna arch a bit and they're just gonna take this thing off here and be open wide. And then it's fucking riding the fucking elevator down, up, up. And you can see how that's fucking much different than locking down, right? You need to get that arch, you need to pin your body. If you don't know how to do it, literally pull up on the bar, get your feet under already, pull up on the bar like you're gonna kiss it and put yourself down. So if you arch here and put yourself down, I'm set. I put the bar where I want it to be, I take off. I'm set here, tucking into lat. But all these guys seem to think like, if I don't feel an immense strain on my fucking shoulder of this weight pulling me apart, then nothing's happening. It's like, no, there's a lot happening. You're fucking yourself up. And you're encouraging it and you're enjoying it because you feel this strain across your body and then this press out. And one day that strain, when it gets too heavy, or you get fucked up shoulders, or you get like little issues with mobility here and there, the one day that happens, poof, there goes that. And I had that happen because I had a compromised shoulder from playing football and things never moved right in there. I had a torn labrum and I was benching properly for a very long time and still tore my pec. So it just takes one time, guys. Like, no one's telling you to stop lifting heavy. That's like correlated to your level of ability. You definitely should. There's guys out there that are fucking stupid strong, moving weights in great form. And they should continue doing what they're doing because that's what's getting them where they're going, right? Like Brett Wilkin, Martin Fitzwater. These guys are animals. They're strong as shit and they move weight very well. So it's not to say like, oh, don't do that, you're gonna hurt yourself. Like, no, those guys pay attention to what they're doing and really are conscious of like how what their movement is, and everything's locked down. They're not talking about it, but they know when they take that heavy weight off, it's boom, 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 set, 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 drop into this like easiest line, path of movement, up. Or bench press, same thing. I set here, I know it's time to go, bang. So I know that my range of my motion is literally this up and down, but it's because everything locked down like a chain, came together and locked, so I could just move this one thing easily. Because if I don't lock all this down and cinch it in and create this like locked in position, something could happen real easy. But the weight will move way easier once I lock these hips down, lock these lats down, suck my shoulders back, bury my chin, lift my sternum. Now I know like the odds of things happening are pretty slim. Things can always happen, but it doesn't mean it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to get into that whole idea of locking down. There's a million things to lock down. Even when it comes to shoulder pressing is the same thing. We're not locking down. I can show you on a standing press. On shoulder pressing, you're not locking down in shoulders. It's not like I want my shoulder to just do the work. I'm in lat again. So if we go over here, even if I'm here, if I'm doing two, it doesn't matter. One's the same thing. If I'm taking off here, when I take off here, I don't go and create this right angle where it's like, my shoulder's jamming, my shoulder's jamming, my shoulder's jamming. It's like, no, I just get my lat, I get my palm under, I suck my arm to my body and I lock into my lat. So my shoulder's sunk. So when I go to press, it's my hand pushing out, catching. And so I'm moving with it to be able to slide. It's the same thing if I'm sitting with dumbbells. I'm locked into here. I might swing open more on a dumbbell because I can lock down, but even when I'm open in this position, my lat is open and locked. So I'm still pressing off a lat, even with open elbow position. You know what I mean? So if I took a wider grip here and I started, I'm still open in lat, and I'm wider apart from my head now. I'm further distance. So I'm locking up, catching lat, driving. So I could be all the way out here and still hold lat and drive. It's a shitty angle, but it's as long as that lat's flared and my elbow's tucked in front of my body, or like in front of my lat, I should say, and not back here, the press will be fine. It's just understanding how to lock through things. So when you see guys get heavy on this and they go to push, it's one of these. It's like they're here and they're like, like fucking inertia, like willing it up, right? It's like if you die in a shoulder press, it should literally be this. Pump, 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 drop. Do you know what I mean? It shouldn't be like, ah. Like the height of your shoulder press is not the goal. The height of the shoulder press doesn't fucking matter. The whole point of a shoulder press is to rock in a shoulder girdle, right? To rock in the meat of your shoulder. Internally and externally, we're trying to get everything working inside and rocking. Our delts and our laterals are for pumping out lats. I mean, we're pumping out delts, right? So we're trying to create dimension and width with these laterals. For our pressing, we're just trying to build that density of the shoulder. That like locked down, boulder-like feeling of that shoulder, right? So just abandon your shitty setup techniques and understand that like more times than not, if you're having trouble engaging, it's because you're not locked onto lat well, or you're not locked onto mid-back. If you adjust those two things, even on pressing, pulling, whatever it is, you'll feel like a tremendous difference in your engagement. So just keep that in mind.